Another Haulathon done at Target. And this time, I picked up quite a few figures, including the Shredder clones, which I'm doing a separate video on, and the one in this video is about Triceraton Zog, which is a huge deluxe figure from the line. It's the biggest figure in the Mirage series, with a box almost as big as a small car. Zog is one of the generals of the Triceraton, the race of dinosaur people that the Ninja Turtles met by going through the portal to a different dimension. And this is the big, huge alpha Triceraton, who eventually did travel to New York into the Turtles world. But let me know, did you get Zog below or did you pass? If you did pass, well, let's open them up together and check them out. And speaking of big beefy boys, we have Triceraton Zog here. Triceraton, where the race, a race of beings when the Turtles, went through the portal at the TGRI place with the Utroms. They went to, this universe with, dinosaur people, and Triceratons were some of the dinosaur people. This is one of the generals of the dinosaur people, so he's got different clothes and stuff like that. And I don't know, he's in the comic books. He gets killed eventually in the comic books. He goes crazy, as far as I know. He fights with Raphael a little bit. And I don't know what I was expecting with this guy. I don't know why it didn't dawn on me how big he was going to be. When I saw this on the shelf, I was just like, what the heck? This box is ginormous. This is like a Gargoyles box almost. Because obviously I saw shots of him at shows and stuff like that, and for some reason it didn't click in my brain that, hey, it's gonna be giant. He's hefty, he's huge, and he looks amazing. So let's go through the normal stuff and we'll get him open. We'll see what he can do, see the damage he can cause, which is probably a lot. So just like everything else from the Mirage series, you got the nice original art on the front by Mr. Kevin Eastman. Obviously, you've heard me talk about that a lot. That's one of the major selling points of the series to me. I think that's an amazing touch, and I love it. On the first side, which I can't even get in frame because the box is so big, you got him sort of running at you with the new original art logo at the bottom. And the other side, you got the headshot. He's obviously number 7 in the line. Top is just the logo. Lots of dead space on the bottom on a package this big. And back of the box, it's got the normal action shots. Meanwhile, comic book style, it's got some more figures in the series right there. I have Casey Jones and I have the Shredder clones. I don't have Foot Soldier, or this could be the regular Shredder, but there's also a battle damage Shredder that went up in, I don't know, I think it maybe was a Walmart exclusive, and it's gone up a couple times and then sold out immediately. So it's super hard to get at this point. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. All right, we're gonna open them up. I can't even get the box in this overhead shot, so we'll see how this goes. Wow is really one of the few words I can say at this point. This guy is so hefty and so bulky. Like, this is a ton of plastic right here. So I'll put some shots here of his sort of comic version, and he, again, with this line, it's super impressive how well they match the comic book up to these, 3D models. Because if you look at the pictures I put on the screen, and if you do your own research or if you're familiar with the character at all, this looks so like that big bulky, like he's a big bulky, like unstoppable, juggernaut of a Triceraton. And they captured it perfectly in this giant figure. Like, I could barely even get it in frame. I'm holding it as low as I can hold it, and it's not even all in frame anymore. And look at all the details on this. This is so detailed. Obviously, he's got this really bumpy, like, skin texture everywhere on him, and it's super apparent on the hands and the feet. You know, they're kind of ugly. You know what I'm saying? Feet are kind of nasty. If you're into feet pics, this guy is not the guy you want to talk to. You know what I'm saying? So look at the sculpt everywhere. The skin sculpt on that with the comic book shading, with the comic book line, even on the hands around the fingernails. But also it's got this really dark wash, and it's darker in some spots just to give it a more sort of natural lived in look, especially on the face, right? You can see this part in here is a little bit darker than this part, but it's still got that wash on it. It's still got the comic shading all around. This is a super unique sculpt too, for sure. Even the horns are different, right? Because this one goes straight out. This one has that little, you know, bandage on it right there. And it goes down to, you know, his eyes. His eyes has got that red eye with the black comic book lining on the outside. Again, darker shading around the snout too. And when you go around to the back, it's even got a really dark wash up around the rim and then around the neck area, but then it's like light in the middle, right? And that just makes it look more interesting, sort of more natural and everything. Obviously this dark purple, you know, shirt, he's got some orange poking out. The orange is a little lighter than his skin color. So I don't know what's up with that. If that's supposed to be his skin poking through, it's definitely a different shade of orange than his skin. It's got, you know, the comic shading on his shirt. All his pouches are all shaded too. Pouches all the way around his belt. And, you know, on this thing strap going over his shoulder, he's got the pouches too, which looks really nice. He's got his, you know, that triangle tattoo on his shoulder. He does have that in the comic book. I thought it was his other shoulder, but maybe I'm wrong. And he's got the symbol there too. And go down to the legs. He's got, you know, the short, stout, stubby legs with rips in here. So you can see, you know, his knees in there. It even goes to a little bit of black down the spine, down the seam of his pants right there. That's really cool looking too. There's obviously a tail hole here. He does come with a tail. It is, you know, semi-bendy, just like the gargoyles. Let's get it on in there. So I'm sure you can use this to stabilize him if you need to. I don't know. I think he'll stabilize just fine because he's so solid. He's got such a big feet. I don't think it'll be an issue like the gargoyles, but we'll see. But you know, he's got that tail in there, and again, the details on the tail, just like everything else. It's got this really nasty, I don't know, this pimply texture. Honestly, it looks super nasty. It looks like a big old, I don't know, turd. I said it. It's got the comic shading all around it, all down it. Other side, there's no side left unturned. Like, I love the attention to detail. I love the shading on that. And I'm telling you, I especially love these hands and stuff. The shading on the fingernails and in the wash in there and on the knuckles, I really like that. This cloth piece right here, the sculpt on it's pretty good. It looks like obviously it's ripped off because obviously at one point he had this full uniform on. And then, you know, when he went to the Turtles world, he, you know, I don't know, went through some fights and stuff. We went a little crazy from what I understand. And, you know, his uniform ripped off and stuff before he was ultimately killed, I believe. Dun dun dun, spoiler alert. But man, this figure is impressive. It's so heavy. I wish I had a scale here so I could weigh it. But I don't know I don't know. I'm super impressed with this. I can't wait to put it on the shelf. And this is an amazing addition to the Mirage collection so far. All right, so we're going to go over the articulation real quick. His neck actually has a lot more movement than it looks like at first. Like, he can really look up. Maybe he can stand on 4 legs, you know, in your display or something. I don't know. But he can really look up. That's as far as he can look down, pretty much. He can do the exorcism test, obviously. And his jaw is articulated too. I didn't point that out earlier, but even sort of the paint job in the jaw is so good. Come on, NECA, have mercy on me. The teeth are all, you know, comic shaded in there. You have the shading, you know, dark in the back, goes to lighter up front. His big old, that nasty tongue. So, you know, he can get angry. Like that. So that's all. The head is articulated really good, especially the up. Like, I'm super impressed with that. And then the jaw that articulates too. Going down to the shoulders. It's as far as it can go up, really. I'm sure it can go all the way around. Around the world, there's only single elbows, single knees on this big beefy guy. Zogman is not known for his, you know, flexibility, okay? He's known for bashing things. That's what he does. So only single joint on the elbow. Obviously the hand forward, backward like normal. Articulation on the waist is really good. There's like a super, I don't know, ball joint or something in there. So he can spin completely around, all the way around. It seems a little loose to me, looser than the regular figure, but it doesn't move by itself as far as I've seen. It did just a little bit when I shook it. But when he's on the shelf, I'm sure that won't be an issue, like, whatsoever. So we've seen the articulation there. So going down the legs don't have a lot of movement. That's pretty much as far forward as it can go. It can go out just a little teeny bit. So there's not a lot of movement here. That's basically your range of movement right there. Again, this is not a super articulated figure. This is a big, beefy, you know, monstrous figure. Again, single knees, not double knees. So the range of movement backwards is minuscule, right? Like, it's hardly anything. And that's because these legs are so thick, right? Like, this is so thick. They cut out a lot right there. And that's as far as it can go back. The tail we already went over. It's a bendy tail. You know, slightly bendy. It's pretty firm. It's not as bendy as the gargoyles, but, you know, it's bendy enough. And then going down to the feet, there's a slight ball there. So you can rock it back and forth. There's really no forward or backwards movement a lot with it. That's probably because he's so bulky, right? You need that base to stand him up because he's so heavy. Like, I'm serious. This guy is like, it's like me after Thanksgiving, okay? Now let's look at his accessories. First things first is his blaster. This is a typical blaster that they had in the comic book. Maybe I'll put a shot of it here. It's like this triangle, like, laser thing. The addition that this one has, that like the one that Fugitoid has and stuff, is it's got this strap on it. So it's got a, you know, a soft rubbery strap right here. It looks really good. I really like it. I like how they sort of blended it in with the gun. So it looks like it's a complete piece. And again, I love the shading and the detail on accessories from NECA. It's got some comic shading right there. It's got the nice dark blue with this silvery blue right here. The yellow in there for, you know, the blasting. I don't know. This is very nice, and I really like the addition of the strap. He has shooting things, but he also has stabbing things. He used the stabbing thing a lot. And this is his trusty, you know, blade that he had with him. I don't know if you call it a sword because it's so small in his hand. It's a sword for someone else, but to him, it's like a dagger, a letter opener. But again, it's got, you know, the cartoon shading there on everything, which I love. It's got the colored handle, different colored handle, all the little spikes at the end. It's even, you know, shaded in the circle around them. I love the comic shading of this series. So it's nice and sturdy. It's nice and strong. So it's not gonna break, I don't think, at least. Looks very nice. What general would ever be without some grenades? So you got some grenades here. They're just plain brown color, but they have the comic shading on it too. These two are the same sculpt and everything, but then this one obviously is a cylinder shape rather than round. So it's nice to have a little variety in there, but he's got grenades to blow things up, I would assume. I think that assumption is fair. All right, he's obviously got hands too, so he's got a plethora of hands. The two on him and then 6 more. Yes, 6 more. So it looks like he's got a couple of punching hands. He's got a hand, I think that's maybe for the gun strap. And then this hand is the sword hand for sure. This hand is a grenade hand, because I see the impression of a grenade in there. And then just an open hand, just a sort of natural open hand right there. So he's got a plethora of options, whatever accessory you want to display him in. Like, these look great, just like the hands on his body. It's got all the shading on there, his dirty fingernails and everything. Like, this guy comes with a lot of stuff. This is impressive. And here he is next to a movie turtle. Fugitoid from the same line, and the taller Shredder clone, the one that just came out too for Haulathon. Let's give this guy a measure. So from to the top of his crown, he's right at 8 inches tall. So 8 inches tall compared to the other guys. Fugitoid's the tiny one here. Fugitoid's not even 6 inches. Imagine if you were Fugitoid and you had to square up against this dude. You'd be running to the hills. So I mean, overall, this is a super impressive figure. It's a lot of plastic. It is a little pricey. I think it was $49, while the rest of them are, you know, $39 or so. So, you know, it's $10 more, but I mean, I haven't felt a figure this bulky since the McFarlane Devastator figure, that Batman figure. Like, I would say it rivals that figure in bulkiness for sure, but the paint job and obviously the styling, the articulation and stuff is definitely, you know, way more than a McFarlane figure. And I'm telling you, this line, my favorite line, this is shaping up to be an all-time classic. Like, everything in the line so far is super impressive. This is the latest figure in the line, and I absolutely can't wait for more. I would highly suggest picking it up if you have any interest in this line at all. This figure looks so good. He'll go with any of your other Ninja Turtle figures for sure.